Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 25th, 2021 at approximately 9:07 a.m. PST. Well, things are progressing nicely. Now, this fine little item here. Unfortunately, I didn't get to it yesterday. I think I showed you this the other day before. But we'll be working on that more. That's already on my list today. However, when I talk about setting goals and reaching them, I set a goal for myself where it comes to doing the writing for the books I'm working on. And I set the goal at 5 pages a week, which gives me lots of room because of the amount of other things I've got going on. But yesterday I got on a roll, and I managed to get 32 pages done, which puts me about 6 weeks ahead of schedule, which I'm not complaining about. But it boils down to keeping a list and making sure you keep your goals working. Now, I didn't count up the number of goals I did yesterday. Actually, a fair chunk. Let's just take a peek. We actually got 19 done yesterday, which ain't bad at all. Probably would have gotten more done if I hadn't gone and done, like, what, 6 times what I was planning on the writing side. But I have a very specific goal in mind. I've got the first of the novels out. I desire the second one to come out by the end of this year. And the sooner the better, in my opinion. So that's what I'm working towards. Okay. Now, like I said, it's imperative if you're going to change your life around, you can get all the tools, all the guidance you desire. But if you don't get off your tail and actually start doing the work, it ain't going to happen, because the only person on the planet that can make you successful is you. All the guidance in the world, all the tools are of absolutely no use if you don't use them. So this is why I always come back to this issue of the list, because the list works like an absolute charm. Prayers are a great thing, okay? And don't get me wrong, prayers can help somebody get a little bit more focused. They can find a little bit of peace in this chaotic world that we live in. But you still have to get up and do something. Okay, because even the best prayers on the planet require your assistance. Okay, the prayers help keep you focused. The dream board, the prayers, the wishes, the well-wishing, all of that helps keep you focused. Even the list helps keep you focused. Problem is, if you don't get off your tail, you're not going to get anything done. Okay, that's just the way of reality. And yes, we're still moving things around. I think we do that because we get bored, maybe? I don't know. It's not that I don't like talking to you people. Actually, it's worked out really well for me to stay focused. Okay, and to make things happen in the right order. But it still requires getting things moving, doing the work for it. Now, when we start talking about communicating with other people, first rule of thumb, and you've got to get this one straight. I was talking to somebody today, and the amazing part of it is so many people point the finger elsewhere. The reality of strife in this world is it doesn't come from outside. It comes from right here. If you're not content with your life, you're going to be stressed. And if you're stressed, in case you hadn't noticed, you've got shorter tolerance for other people. You don't process things well, and you find it harder to learn. Okay, it's kind of like if you're not holding a decent diet. Your energy and your body is not going to work right. Now, we are going to end up revisiting feng shui here at some point. Okay. But all of it revolves around the exact same thing. And that is that it's up to you to do the work to change things. Now, when you're dealing with other people, I envy in a lot of ways. I envy the blind people because they have no way of realistically worrying about somebody's skin color. Sure, they can tell tonal inflections better than most, but they really cannot tell skin color. They can't tell eye color. They can't tell color of any form. Something to do with being blind. Okay. It's like if you're deaf, you cannot tell somebody's tonal inflections. It becomes a problem, but you learn to work around it. Now, I was lucky, okay, in a lot of ways. Not the least of which is I used to be one step shy of being blind. I couldn't even see my glasses that close to my face. Okay, and there's no way I'd have seen this picture on the video that I'm looking at. On the video as I record it. So do I understand what it's like to be blind? Certainly. I had an ear infection that left me almost deaf. Okay, now in that case it wasn't a question of healing, it was a question of going to a qualified professional and getting them to sort out the infection. And sort out the plug. Which once I did that, it was great. My hearing is phenomenal at this point. Unfortunately, my ability to scramble computers is also phenomenal. So when you take a look at what's going on with your life, find what you're not content with and make a change to it. It doesn't matter what you change it to, because the reality is if you don't like what you change it to, you can change it again. Okay. Now, I could sit here and go on and on and on about what you can do to change. But the important factor at this point is realizing what you've got that is working as well. Do you have a roof over your head that you're content with? Okay, do you have a circle of friends that you're content with? And remember, friends are not the people that come to you going, oh, do you have money because I need money. Can you give me money? That's not friendship. Friendship is the people that you can turn to when you're in trouble. And again, not just for money. I'm referring to emotional support. Which is why I encourage people to find some sort of a spiritual guide. Be it a religion, be it a coven, be it New Age, be it mainstream, doesn't matter. In all fairness, I'd be inclined to say and it's just a guess on my part, but I'd be inclined to say there are probably more New Age than there are mainstream religions. Okay, now it's probably a lot closer to even. I don't know. I do know that they all are doing exactly the same thing. Okay, they are all working towards, at least they claim to be working towards, helping you feel better, helping you feel more secure. Which begs the question, if they're trying to help you feel secure, why, pray tell, are they promoting fear? I used to go to church on a regular basis. And when the pastor threw out everybody that wasn't exactly of his denomination, I walked out of the church altogether. Okay. And frankly, I don't think I've been back in one to speak of. But that's because of the fact that I've talked to a lot of people out there and I found out one little detail. Okay. And that is, if you deal with people on a proper basis, if you deal with people the way you desire to be treated, then you'll find you get that emotional support that you require on the whole. Now, I'm not a good example. I'm very much an independent individual. I've got a very tiny group of people that I do deal with. I don't require a crowd. Ironically speaking, that's exactly what I'm aiming to draw. And don't get me wrong, I don't feel like sitting in front of a whole pile of people in the middle of a conference. Although to those of you that are looking for it, because I am a specialist in aliens and alien technology, and I do speak at conferences, I'm more than willing to attend conferences, to come as a speaker. I just need an invite. Okay. But as far as going out and setting up a building somewhere, I'm quite happy with my house, and this is working well. But when I started recording the journey, it was because of the encouragement I got from a lot of people that were actually watching me on the internet, on spacedoutradio.com, with R. Keith Andrews at the ET Connection. Okay, that's the first Friday of every month, running from 9 to 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay. And, the reality of it is this. That encouragement started me on the journey, where I started by going, okay, here's how I got my life moving in the right direction. Okay, and I'm still working on it to this day. It's not perfect. I'm not claiming to be perfect. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you flat out, I'm not. I'm also not telling you believe me and believe everything I tell you. Okay, this is simply what I've seen. It's my opinion, for lack of a better way of putting it. And I encourage you to double check whatever I tell you, whatever I'm saying. Before you jump on and go, well, that's perfect. I can tell you the tools that I'm talking about are ones that I personally use. Okay. But that doesn't mean they're perfect for everybody. This is one of the reasons why religions took on so many forms. Is because not everybody processes the same way. Some people process one direction, others in another way. But with the number of different religions out there and the number of different spiritual guides out there, there is somebody out there that everybody can connect to. And let us not forget the fact that there are a staggering number of parents out there. Okay, and before COVID hit, I used to deal a lot with the troubled kids down at the park right close to me. Because much as they had parents, they didn't feel they could open up to them. They didn't feel they could deal with them. So I ended up talking to them a lot. Okay. And I still get some of them from the past coming and talking to me and going, I remember when you helped me on the street. Which, for me, I did it because that was the thing to do. I wasn't looking for accolades. And even now, quite frankly, I'm not looking for accolades. But I am driven, if you will, to get this message out to people that working together, we can make this a better world for everyone. Regardless of your income bracket, your skin color, your orientation, your political or religious beliefs, it doesn't matter. Every single one of you, every denizen on this planet of every race, is of equal value. Okay, they may not have the same size pocketbooks, and who cares? Because let's face it, we have two things in common that everybody has in common. Okay, and one of them is questionable. The one that is not questionable is everybody looking at this video right this second, okay, is starting at the exact same place. You're right here, right now. This is all you've got to work with, is you can only operate in the present. Now, there is past, there is future, and I will have to get to that one of these days. But regardless of if we're dealing with the past or things that have already happened, or the future and things that are coming, okay, the only time you can do anything is right in the present. So my personal philosophy is simple. You brace for the worst, you plan for the best, and you live for the moment. Okay, but remember that all falls under the 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay. Now, take a look at the guidelines in whatever belief structure you're working with. Okay. And ask yourself, do these guidelines all fit in those 3 laws? Okay. If they do, great. Because as far as I can tell from the number of different religions and different spiritual paths I've looked at, they all do. But please, I'm asking you, if you come across a guideline that does not fit under one of those 3, drop me a line at one of the contact points below this video and let me know. I would love to know about it. Thus far, I haven't found one. Okay. When we're talking about spiritual guidance, ask yourself, the people that are guiding you, the people that you're turning to for guidance, are they following the guidelines that they're laying out to you? Okay, first of all, do they follow what they're teaching? Okay, or are they just spitting rhetoric and doing their own thing? Okay, like for instance, if you've got a religious, a mainstream priest that is telling you the Ten Commandments and says, "Thou shalt not steal," and they are turning around ripping people off, or "Thou shalt not commit adultery," and you know, not only do they have a wife, but they're crawling into bed with somebody else. That, I mean, when you find that out, this is not the spiritual guide that you should be looking at. Okay, if you're talking to a financial advisor, and he starts telling you that this is the finances, this is the investment of the century, this is what you should get into. Ask one question before you ask any others. Do you have any of this particular investment? If they say no, then the odds are it's not a good investment for you. Okay? Unless they go, "No, I don't, because I just don't have the money to get involved in that as well." Okay. But if they tell you flat out, "No, I don't have it," or like one told me, he was promoting one product, and I asked him, I says, "Do you have any of this?" And he looks at me and goes, "I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole." So I looked at him and I said, "Well, if you wouldn't touch it, why are you promoting it to me?" He goes, "Because the company I work for pays me to promote it." I said, "Well, thanks for being honest, but I won't be buying it." Right. Because from my way of looking at it, if you're going to promote something, if you're going to sell something, and you're not willing to buy it, then you probably shouldn't be touting it as a good thing. It falls under the same idea as when you're striving to sell something. Price it at what you would personally pay for it. If you wouldn't pay $50 for a mug, don't price it at $50. Because if you're pricing it that high and you wouldn't pay for it, you're succumbing to greed. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. That's just one of the guidelines that you look at. This is why I say take a look at the way your life is sitting. Are you content with the way it is right now? If the answer is yes, that's fantastic. Okay, you got to be one of the only people on the planet, because the Lord knows I'm not entirely content with the way my life is going. But I am making the effort to eliminate the things I'm not content with. Speaking of which, this funny thing here is going to go away in about, 20 minutes here when I get done with this. Okay, just because I don't want it anymore. Or more to the point, I don't desire to have it anymore. Okay, so I mean, all in all, you look at things and start eliminating the ones that you really feel you're not content with. Okay, there's a lot of things that you can work with. But whatever your goal, like I said, write it down, whatever your goal is. Put it on paper, but break it down into 15-minute to half-hour jobs. Okay. By doing that, you'll feel like you actually got something accomplished. Where it comes to the new world, that's so-called new world that's coming, now that COVID is slowly getting itself in order, okay, or mankind's learning to cope with it, I'm not sure which. It's time to look at the way the new world is going to be, but do not take it back to what it was. Because the world that was there before was full of greed, debauchery, fear, anxiety, bullying, temper, war, you may name it. All the negative things were out there. They were all spotlighted. The funny part about it is there was a staggering amount of joy, happiness, love, kindness, sharing, support. These were all out there as well, but they got shoved in a little corner and the lights turned off. Okay, so one of the things that I am encouraging people to do at this point, if you feel inclined to post a negative post somewhere, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or any of the myriad others, if you're going to point and post a negative one, at least turn around and post a positive one as well. Keep a balance between the two. Preferably a 2-for-1 split is even better. People talk about the media being so full of garbage, so full of negativity. Well, it is. But look at what you're doing. As an individual, what are you talking about? What are you posting? What are you reposting? Okay. Are you posting the positive side of things, or are you insisting on posting the negative? Oh, look who got hurt. Look who got ripped off. Okay, giggle, giggle. Look how bad that must have hurt. I mean, I see it all the time. Every now and again, I get a post that is just priceless. Like I watched one. Somebody put a video up about, and this I just loved. Okay, this person put a video up about a 6-year-old child. Okay, that got a standing ovation at his school when he returned after beating leukemia. Okay, that's the kind of thing that needs to be on the front page of every newspaper around the world. Not necessarily that specific person, but that kind of thing. Who got married? Who got an award for doing something nice? Who helped the lost individual find their way to wherever they were trying to go? Who was it that, who helped pay for something for somebody when the person was legitimately short on funds, or just because? I've been known to go into restaurants and I'll sit down for my own lunch, and if I've got the extra money, I will pay for so and so's. Okay, that's just me. But it's also that kind of behavior is why I refuse to give to charities. Okay, because I know for an absolute certainty there is a lot of overhead that goes to charities. Okay, now don't get me wrong, charities are a good thing. Churches do a lot of good work. But when your overhead, as in the administrative cost of making this happen, eats away most of the donation isn't of any use. Okay, when I went one day and I ended up paying, I think about, I mean, it wasn't much, but I took $30 of my own money and bought a young couple their dinner. Okay, they didn't ask me to, nobody inquired about it, I just did it. Okay, because I had the money to do it. Now, all 30 of that went to charity. If I'd have turned that $30 around and handed it off to one of the charitable organizations, okay, number one, most of that money would have been swallowed up by administrative costs. Now, the best one I heard of, and I cannot tell you the name because I don't remember it, the best one I heard of had 50% of it swallowed. The other 50% got to where it was going, which is great. Okay, but the overhead kills a lot of charities. Now, of course, the other thing there is when you're looking at charities, okay, or at church donations, that sort of thing, okay, they have the ability, $30 from 10 people means that you can turn around and buy something worth $300. Okay, without it causing a lot of trouble to any individual. But the little things do add up. And I will tell you, because of the way that people feel when something unexpected is gifted to them, assuming they, of course, accept the gift in the first place, which they do have the right to turn it down. Some people have this idea of, I have to do it on my own. And I will tell you that's not necessarily the most effective method. From what I've seen, and from what I've experienced, there's a saying that applies really well that goes, no man is an island unto itself. And really that should be no being is an island unto themselves, meaning we all require support and assistance at some point. Okay, we all require that backup, no matter how strong you may be. There will likely come a time in your life where you need help. Okay, so I am asking you very strongly, reach out to the people around you. Get to know the people around you. In 1973, the Carpenters put out a song called Up, Up with People. Look it up on the internet. It's well worth listening to. At least in my opinion. Okay. putting that coffee cup over there, yeah, my other one's out in the car actually, but putting that coffee cup there has helped immensely with my ability to actually work with my left hand. Okay, which for me is an extremely beneficial thing. But hopefully I'll get a thumbs up for the video. Subscribe to the channel because there's a lot of other information coming out. Okay, as a matter of fact, I do have to make a note for myself here because of a couple of things. Not the least of which is I know I've got a couple of words missing from the subset called language that are done under my videos. Okay, that cover words, that cover spoken words that are very self-deprecating. They hinder people regularly in every language. Okay, I encourage you to look at these videos and find out which words they are, what they can be replaced with, and why they hinder. Okay, it's like when I found out the reason for glasses actually destroying eyesight, I was able to heal my eyes. I took a look at a book, okay, and if you drop me a line at one of the contacts below, I can actually give you the ISBN number for it. But the book is called The Bates Method to Better Eyesight Without Glasses. By taking that information and the education I got in school when I studied optics, I was able to take my eyes without an operation. Okay, I took my eyes from the point where if I held my glasses right there, I could not see them, to now I have 20/20 eyesight for reading. Okay, so is it possible to make your eyes better? Absolutely. I did not use medication. I did not have an operation of any form. I simply corrected the problem using what my body already knows and simply remembering how to do it. Okay, and this is all information, this is all stuff that you can personally do yourself as well. As the saying goes, all that I do, thou shalt do, and more. Okay, and it is very much the case. Everything I've done, I can explain how most of what I've done, I can explain how I do. The issue of coming back from the dead, that's a little tricky. Technically, I can explain it, but it's a little complicated. Okay, but with that in mind, okay, there is a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me. Therefore, absolutely drop me a line. Okay, if you've got questions, whether it's social, academic, business, spiritual, or metaphysical, as in even when we're dealing with UFOs and alien technologies. If you've got questions, if you've got something going on you don't understand, drop me a line. I'll do my best to explain it. Until then, I'm going to keep this one short. Well, sort of. We're hitting the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to let you go until next time, which will be tomorrow sometime. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.